Well, this is a rare moment for me, as I said in my intro. And I think with the audacity of camera, I have had some privileges in this short career, if I may say. And today is one of such occasion to meet such a great and honorable person. Not only to meet, but to at least sit down and interrogate history. Maybe world history, not even Ghana history, world history. Noble man born in noble village, and his whole life has been in beginnings. His whole life has been in beginnings. Guy who sat in the planning stages of Akosombo Dam, planning stages of the resettlement, planning stages and beginnings of the dam itself, creating the biggest lake ever, covering 3% of Ghana's landmass, resettling 52 communities, 80,000 people, 14,000 homes. That's a magnitude. And he was there from the beginning. And guess what? Today is his birthday. So not any ordinary day, but today is actually his birthday. So I've come with a little parcel to say, Uncle, happy birthday to you. Very happy birthday to you. And indeed, I'm very, very humbled, and I'm very glad that even though it's your birthday, you still, grant me this interview on a day like this. So thank you very much.
Thank you also for selecting my birthday to come to interview me.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And folks, you know what? By the time we finish, and I'm hoping that my producers and my directors will allow me, because there is absolutely no way that I'll fit this nobleman's life history in one show. I definitely will have to do a second one to attempt to fill it. But with one show, I won't do it. And we're talking to Mr. Erasmus Alexander Kwabena Kalitsi. And as soon as I say Kalitsi, I know all those of you guys in Akosombo, your ears and your eyes will be wide open, because you know the impact he has made on you. Indeed, even those of us who were resettled. Mr. Kalitsi, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
But I want to go back to 1930, all the way back in Anyako. Humble beginnings. In Chida says Ubi Nim Abrempon Ashasi. You know that in 1930, beautiful baby boy in Anyako, did they ever know that one day he's going to be heading the Akosombo Dam, even if Akosombo Dam had been dreamt of being built? But what were the beginnings like back then in Anyako?
Well, I wouldn't know, because if I was born there, I was born there. And Anyako still exists.
Yes.
It's an island in the Keta district. And it's a fine place. Lots of people go there. And lots of people from Anyako are all over Ghana, playing various roles. Bedema is from Anyako. There are many others. I mention him only because he was one of the three who stood on the days when we got independence, when Kwame Nkrumah declared Ghana to be independent. He was one of those.
Wow. Did you school there in Anyako? Did you start schooling there?
No. No, I started schooling actually in Koforidua.
Okay.
I was born in Anyako, but my mother came to Koforidua to live in Koforidua, and I was a little boy. I was told that I was a bit of a truant. So my mother sent me to Nsawam,
Okay.
where my father was running a shop.
Okay.
And it was at at Nswam that I went to some school in Nswam, which, sorry, did I say Nswam? I mean Suhum. It was at some school in Suhum that I perhaps got properly to go to school, because at Koforidua I was put to school by my mother, but I think I was a bit of a truant, like I said, and she thought it would be a good thing for me to go to my dad, who would have masculine pressure on me. And so I would say it was between Koforidua and Suhum that I started schooling at a very early age. Then from there, I had a bit of an accident at Suhum. I put my hand into the nozzle of a corn mill.
Oh dear.
And got one finger cut. My mother was, of course, scared. And so she took me away from Suhum back to Koforidua, and sent and got one of his brothers to take hold of me and take me to Accra.
Okay.
This brother was a policeman, and he was living in the police headquarters at that time, the huge police yard in the center of Accra. So whilst there, this uncle of mine, of course, made sure that I would go to school. So that's how I went to my primary school.
So being a
Then
policeman, he was more strict.
Oh yeah, being a policeman, he was very, very strict. From Accra, after some time he was transferred to Winneba,
Okay.
where again I continued my schooling. For Winneba, I remember that very well. It was Anglican School, Winneba.
Before we go to Winneba, one interesting bit of the story in Accra is that, there was just one room, and your bed or your mat had to be under the bed of your uncle's bed.
That is correct. Even today, policemen in the police barracks, I think that's what they call it, have very small rooms. And so my uncle was a married man, and so I had to sleep under the bed, under the marital bed. I didn't think there was anything interesting about that until today, when I have grown up, and I imagined that, wow, how should I, as a youngster, be put under the bed when my uncle and the wife were on their iron bed on top? That's it. But anyway, it just shows how tough life is for our policemen even today.
I don't want to pass any comment on that.
No, it didn't. So, I didn't notice anything. It's only from reflection today that I thought it rather odd. But that's it.
Right. So then you went to Winneba from there?
From Accra, I went to Winneba. Now the thing about my stay in Accra is that my uncle, being very, very strict, insisted that every evening I should sit in front of this one room, and he taught me how to read. Read English and read Ewe. If I failed to sit in front of his room to read, he would give me some punishment. And so that's how I would say seriously I started my studies.
Okay. So so from Winneba, no. So which school in Winneba did you attend?
Winneba Anglican School.
Okay, okay. And then from Winneba to Zion College.
No. From Winneba, my uncle was again transferred to Swedru.
Okay.
And it was at Swedru that he retired from the police service. And it was about the same time that my mother also died in Koforidua. So my father, who in the meantime had left Suhum and gone to Suam to work for G.B. Olivant, my father decided to take me and send me to a secondary school. I was then in, I think the equivalent from 1 or so, from 1 or from 2. So I went to, the school was not called Zion College at the time, it was called New Africa University College.
Okay.
It's an interesting story, the story of that school. Mr. F.K. Fiau had gone to the United States, taken a degree, become a pastor, a Zion pastor, wrote a drama in Ewe, which was later translated into a number of languages, came home to Ghana and established today we'll call it a high school, at a place called Adidome in the Volta region. He and Reverend Dr. Osabute Agwedze established that school. But after some time, they parted company, and Reverend Fiau moved to Angloga, the capital of the Anglos. That's the seat of the paramount chief of the Anglo state at the time. That school was the first secondary school in the whole of what is today Volta region. There were missionary primary schools and middle schools, but no secondary school. And but Reverend Fiau decided to set up a school modeled on some of the American institutions. The school had facilities to train people in vocational studies. The normal academic subjects were taught at the school. Commercial subjects were also taught at the school. They had divisions for all these, and they had facilities for people who wanted to go out for higher studies elsewhere, also to prepare themselves to go to the universities. It was a school which attracted people from I'll say, many places in Ghana. Some came even from Nigeria. One of the products of that school was Dr. Jaja Wachuku, who became an attorney general in Nigeria. After immediately Nigeria got independence, he was one of the Nigerian leaders. He became an attorney general. He was a very colorful person. He was there with his brother, who also became a leader in Nigeria.
Okay.
That's the kind of school it was. I stayed in that school until I did my school certificate. It was in those days. And thereafter, and it was just about the same time that the University of Ghana was established. I think it was established in 1947, and I did my school certificate in 1948. From Angloga, I moved to Legon. Now, it wasn't straight like that. From Angloga, we had to take special examinations to be admitted to the university. I think about 40 of us or so were selected out of those of us who sat the examination at the education department in Accra. And we got scholarships or financing, government financing to enter the university.
Let me take a break here, and then we'll come back and talk about Legon. So here we are. You have, gone to a secondary school that's just been set up. Now you've come to a university that's just been set up, and that's the story of Mr. Kalitsi, always getting there when it's just about to be set up. We're coming straight back. Well, and we are back. We are now at Legon. It's 1948. 1949.
Aye.
Now, before you even go on that, I go to Legon today and I find it, so magnificent and huge and everything. In your days, was it the same, or was it being built when you were there?
As a matter of fact, we are calling it Legon today, but it was the University College of the Gold Coast.
Ah, look at that.
At Achimota. It was
University College of
the Gold Coast. Yeah.
In Achimota.
Yeah, the University of Ghana started as a University College of the Gold Coast, which was a college of the University of London.
Okay.
It started as a college of the University of London. And that's it. So we were not, technically I did not live at Legon at all. My colleagues migrated to Legon when Legon was being built. But I never went to Legon. I stayed in the houses at Achimota, which the University College was occupying, because that's where everything was: the library, the lecture rooms, the dormitories were all at Achimota.
As in present-day Achimota School?
Yeah, one half of Achimota School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, today we learned something.
Oh, no, but Achimota was built. It had many departments, facilities, and I've forgotten there's a proper name for that side of Achimota, which was taken over by the University College and used to start the University College of the Gold Coast. But maybe if we can insert the name, because it's I think it was called the college site. I may be mistaken.
So, now, when you came into Achimota, came into the University College of the Gold Coast,
Yeah.
had you then decided on what you wanted to do, what courses you wanted to pursue?
When I arrived at the University College, yes, I had decided to study economics. I had decided to study economics because there was, the subjects I was studying were subjects would lead to economics. Ghana was preparing for independence, and many scholars were coming from overseas who were discussing national affairs, international affairs. Economics was being discussed. The society was being analyzed in various ways. It was very fascinating for me. Initially, when I was at Angloga, my interest was to study pharmacy. But the school did not have facilities for study of science. So I couldn't study, I couldn't take the subjects which would have enabled me to study pharmacy. I was studying art subjects. I had the usual Latin, French, EVE, English, and such art subjects. But at the university, with so much of the public discussions going on and independence in the horizon, the lectures which were given by various people tended to be of economic in nature. And so I took interest in that and registered for economics. That's it.
From the university, is that when you because there used to be what they call the civil service exam or something?
What you call civil service exam. I did not take a civil service exam at that point because I was never in the civil service.
Okay.
As a clerk, for example, before going to the university. From Zion College, Angloga, I took an examination, which was a competitive examination. People came from various schools in Ghana, all the Cape Coast schools, schools in Accra and other places, to take this exam, out of which selections were made to go to the university college. And some of the people who were admitted to the university college with me were people like Mr. Peter Alajete, who became Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah.
He was a little older than I was, but then he was one of those admitted at that time. I remember very well. There are a number of others which I would have to think of.
Okay. So what was your first job after school then?
After graduation,
After graduation?
that I was recruited into the civil service as an administrative officer.
Okay.
Appointed as an assistant district commissioner.
Very interesting.
That's a colonial position, colonial district commissioner. My first posting was in Accra, then Kata. Then I was in Sugankope. I was in charge of the Sugankope district when we got independence. From Sugankope, I was posted to Kumasi.
Okay, let's stay in Sugankope, because with independence and you being a commissioner, that should be a whole new administration, changing over.
In the administrative service,
Yeah.
we were assigned, or rather, the district commissioners were drawn from the administrative service.
Okay.
And so my first posting as an administrative officer was as a district commissioner, as an assistant district commissioner in Accra. From Accra, I went to Kata as an assistant district commissioner. From Kata, I was posted to Sugankope,
Okay.
which was a sub-district of Kata at that time, and I was in charge. Then from Sugankope, I moved to Kumasi after independence.
So would you have to do the flag changing, because we had the Union Jack then, and
Oh, yes.
independence you'd have to then.
Yeah, that's true. We at the time of independence, being the district commissioner of Sugankope, I had the privilege of bringing down the Union Jack and hoisting the flag of Ghana, the first flag for the first time. And that was a great occasion. The independence celebrations were being held in Accra. And Kwame Nkrumah got a number of foreign guests into the country and scattered them in various districts so that they would get familiar with the conditions in the country and what was being done. And I had some of the governmental guests with me in Sugankope, and they were there when this flag hoisting ceremony took place.
That must have been a very significant and great, humbling moment. That's a great milestone in the history, and you were there.
Oh yes, we were there at that time. We had to wear the colonial uniform, white military type suit with a helmet. That was it.
And so, from after independence, anyway, with independence, I mean, what was the expectation then? I mean, with independence?
You mean personal expectation?
No, personal or general, the feel, because now we're moving from, colonial to non-colonial, I mean, you
The whole
experienced-
country was in a state of great anxiety. We were, we had been schooled to expect that the country would be handled in such a way that we, the natives or the locals, would take charge. It was expected of us to work in such a way as to get the whites out of the country, that we should demonstrate that we could do whatever anybody could do in any other part of the world. We had great pride in participating in developing the country. We wanted to be like like other countries outside. It was exciting, really. People were coming from all over the world to watch our experiences in starting a new country.
Let me take a break here, and then when I come back, we'll go to Kumasi. Coming straight back. Thank you very much for staying. And there is a beautiful card from the current CEO of VRA, Emmanuel Nchidakwa. And he's wishing his senior a happy birthday. And you get me in a short while why I say senior. So we put it right here. So from Sugakope, you went to Kumasi?
Yes, from Sugakope, I went to Kumasi. Again, as an assistant in Kumasi, as an assistant government agent. Now, incidentally, after independence, the title district commissioner was changed to government agent.
Government agent?
Yeah,
Okay.
government agent. So in Kumasi, I was an assistant government agent.
But duties were the same?
The duties were the same.
Okay.
It was the same colonial district commissioner. Then from Kumasi, now incidentally, Kumasi was divided into a number of districts, if I may, I don't know whether we call them sub-districts, but Kumasi West was my area of responsibility. And that, now Gosu was a part of Kumasi West. It was at that time when the Brongahafu region was established. And I moved to Gosu as government agent in charge of Gosu.
Wow.
Then from Gosu, I moved to Sunyani as government agent in charge of Sunyani. Sunyani as a new region had also been created, but then I was government agent in charge of Sunyani, and Sunyani covered a pretty wide area. Today you have so many districts in what was that one district in Sunyani. The same was true of other districts anyway.
You seem to have your soul is attracted to new things.
Yeah.
Things that are just beginning.
Well, we were beginning a new country.
So everything was beginning.
And so we were building things from the ground level. And we just took ourselves as instruments for development, for change in society.
So eventually you ended up at the Government Development Agency.
Yes. When Nkrumah, again, when the government decided that the Colonial District Commissioner should be replaced by political district commissioners, then those of us, who were in charge of the various districts were reassigned to other duties. It wasn't as simple as all that. As government agent or as a colonial district commissioner, you represented the Governor General. You were in charge of all government activities in your district. All the technical activities reported to you. You sat as a magistrate in the courts. And in that role also, you supervised the local authority courts.
Wow.
As government agent, you were responsible for the local authorities. Local authorities existed at that. Today we don't have local authorities, but local authorities with local assemblies existed in those days. And you are responsible for those local authorities.
So you could sentence someone to?
Oh yes, as a magistrate, you sentenced people.
Wow.
Now, the local authorities had their own courts. They dealt with cases. Those cases would come to you on appeal.
Okay.
And but as a magistrate, you perform judicial duties and you supervise local courts.
Wow.
And you work as supervisor of the country's local authorities, which means that all the roads, streets in various towns, roads connecting one place to another, all development work of local authorities, you would be available to inspect them and supervise whatever would be going on, disciplining people. You were at the same time, you had other duties like registrar of marriages. You were a licensing authority for several functions, like I just mentioned marriage. You gave licenses for
local businesses to set up?
Yes, you gave licenses for local businesses. Tree cutting, forestry, you gave licenses for those, a whole lot of things.
So when Nkrumah was going to now give your positions to political figureheads, you didn't have to step aside from that.
Now, actually, what happened was that they constituted a team. I happen to have played a role in that one. They constituted a team which reviewed all the laws in the country at the time, because the colonial system was such that the laws were designed in such a way that the authority was exercised at the district commissioner level. So those laws had to be changed, because as we had got into independence, some of the practices and approaches were colonial. Well, we call them colonial, and they were not necessarily compatible with what we were going into. I would say the democratic system we were going into. We say in a station, say when we were in Qatar, apart from sitting in court and trying cases as a magistrate and having lawyers appear before me, not only me, but everywhere. In Sugankopo the same, in Gosu the same, in Sunyani the same. Apart from having lawyers appear before us, we also had to supervise the police. Yes, the police reported to us direct. And at the same time, the prisons also reported to us. So, if I saw you misbehaving on the streets, I could stop and order you to be arrested, and the policeman would take my instructions, would arrest you. He can bring you to my court, and I can jail you, and then whilst you are in your jail, I can go to the prisons and just see how you are faring. The Accra prisons here, when I was an assistant government agent in Accra, I had visited those Accra prisons. I knew the prisons very well. You know, you'd go there, they have metal. I believe it's still the same. They have huge metal balls on the gate. You knock, bam, bam, and then somebody would open a hatch, and seeing you as a prison officer, they would immediately open the prison by removing. You hear the noise. They will be removing the bars. 500 prisoners under lock and key, sir. So you'd walk in, and you may say, I want to carry out a prison parade. So they'll bring out the prisoners. They'll line them up. You would inspect them. That's I mentioned, but I mentioned it because I was saying that you were responsible. You could be, the function of the magistrate, the police, the prisoner, prison superintendent, all were handled by the same individual. You had commercial jobs like timber licenses.
So the new laws sort of reduce the powers of the
They
government.
changed. It's not a question of reducing. All the unusual powers were taken away,
Okay.
and they created a new system which was responsible for local government work.
Okay.
That's it. And so we had, now, with that, new appointments were made, of course. And I was sent to the Development Commission. The Development Commission at that time was the center of the whole country's development. Economic development, of which the Volta project was one major activity. So I went in to work on the Volta desk. Then after working for some time, when the Volta project was getting more active, as we were getting closer to a stage where the project would begin to see reality, they created a Volta Secretariat.
Let me pause you there. I want to pause you on Volta Secretariat, and as I promised you in the beginning, I definitely have to do the interview, continue. So next week, when I come, we're going to talk definitely about the life and times of Mr. Kalitsi in the Volta fraternity. I don't even know what to say, but the whole idea from the planning, building, running, operating of the Akosombo Dam, its environs and all attachments, he was right there. And from 1991 to 98, he was Chief Executive Officer of VRA. So next week when we come back, you would know. Those of you who have been resettled, those of you who are living in your lives and enjoying it, we're going to tell the history of how it is that that dam came to be. And since it's his birthday today, he's been very kind to say that, yep, you grant us another interview. So stay tuned again for next week when we talk about the planning, the building, the resettling, the financing, moving of deities, everything that brought Akosombo to life today. So thank you very much and happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And I'll definitely be back to talk to you again. And so this week and next week, we have him because there's history right here. Thank you very much.